All right, what's going on? Facebook community, back at it. It's your man Kyle Means. Uh, Continuing the slow crawl throughout the Chicago Bears season, the NFL season. But in regards to the Bears, I guess we've officially reached that point where we know we're going into the down, uh, the final descent because won't be any playoffs. Won't be no playoffs. Won't be no postseason for the Bears, and we pretty much are assured that after today. But we're gonna get into that soon. My man Ryan Bukovetsky, who does all our great Bears coverage, leads our Bears coverage for War Media, is gonna join me in minutes here. But I'm gonna just set it off. My capacity to talk about anything is not very high right now, but my capacity to talk about the Bears is really, really low. I mean, it's not. It's just so sad. So it's just not even that interesting at this point. Not even. I mean, much to what's there to inspire you, to even talk about these dudes at this point. Well, I guess maybe one thing is that the way that they're finding new ways to lose. It's not then they're finding ways to lose. They're innovating the the art of losing right now. It's like, can we lose by not scoring at all? Can we lose by scoring 30 points? Can we lose in a complete washout? Can we lose after winning the game for 58 minutes? We got it all for you, baby. We can lose, man. If you want a loss, we got you. And we're about this 6-game losing streak. Who's this? And we will get into this with Ryan when he comes on. Is like, we try to exercise some sort of positivity with our coverage this week and just say that, like, look, there is a chance that they could win the rest of these games, actually. And when you look at the schedule, if you follow the NFL, there's no reason to see that they couldn't have won these games. Starting with Detroit, a team that they've beaten Detroit every time they played them in the Matt Patricia era, which had to be a primary reason why they fired him in Detroit, as they should have. But they get rid of their guy, and this is another thing we'll tie into the Bears later. They get rid of their guy, and they seem to have maybe exercised a lot of their frustrations in doing so. They're not the respective heads aren't spinning in Detroit and spitting out pea soup like young Linda Blair anymore. They're not getting down like that. Detroit, they got a little bit of the bile out of their system by getting rid of Matt Patricia. And obviously, with Patricia, a lot like Matt Nagy, who as of now still has his job, was just not the right man for the position that he was given. He was overmatched. And Matt Nagy is overmatched in quite a bit of way. I think he was asked today. I got a tweet that by Jason Leisure, who said, essentially that Nagy said today that in the conference after the game that he just doesn't know why they keep losing. He doesn't have any answers, no insight, and that's essentially why he's in the position he's in now. That's why he's going to be out the door. And the tweet exactly is, why have the Bears fallen apart over the last 2 seasons? I don't know, Matt Nagy says. And that's why he's done. That's what Jason Leisure says. And that's really what it comes down to. we have a guy who is not ready for the position that he was given. We have a general manager who wasn't ready for the position that he was given. These guys are understudies. They are guys who should be apprenticing real general managers and coaches. They're guys, I think they were both in their 30s when they were hired. They had some experience in professional football. They had decent experience, but it seemed like they were both hired in a way, and we can go into other stuff regarding who gets hired and who doesn't get hired in the NFL with this, but they were hired in the belief that they were promising, people at their positions that they were, had the potential to really flower into special people. But the thing about that in the NFL is that you have a long list of people, particularly coaches, who they get hired early, and there's like wonderkins in some way, or prodigies in some way, coaching prodigies, and those guys usually flame out in their first position. The two biggest examples are probably Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll. They both got hired pretty early in their. Well, not so much Belichick. He spent a while as defensive coordinator for the Giants, but he was still pretty young when he got hired to coach the Browns in the mid-90s, and he flamed out. Didn't have left that job with a losing record. Carroll left the Jets when he was hired in the 90s there with a losing record. He went back to college, went to USC, built himself up, and then got hired for the Seattle. Of course, we know what happened with Belichick getting hired with New England. So to me, I'm not going to bet on this at all, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if his second job is going to be much better than his first. That he'll learn a lot from this position. He'll learn quite a bit because it's going to end horribly for him. You learn by failure. I think we all that's sort of a commonality in a lot of in a lot of ways of life. You learn by failure, and Nagy is getting many lessons in his time as a Chicago Bear coach, in his first stint as a head coach, and he'll pretty much this being his first stint, I think, is something that you can, and not being his only stint. That's something that you can pretty much take to the bank in the NFL because, whether you're a young coach or an old coach, bad or good, whatever promise that you show, when you get stamped as head coaching potential, as head coaching quality in any way, and you prove that you can do the job on any type of level, you'll get a second chance no matter how you fail at your first one. You just stay low, work your coordinator job or whatever assistant job that you get, and do that for a couple of years at a decent rate. Have a couple of, if your unit goes into the top half of the league rankings for a time, and or better yet, if you get on a winning team, you'll be fine. And that's the process that Nagy's going to have to go through. But I wouldn't be. I don't know what the process is, how it's going to end. If it's going to end rapidly, we're going to bring Ryan in here to talk about that in a second. But or if it's just going to end in January like it usually does. But it's going to end, and today has to have been the final nail in the coffin. But let me bring Ryan in. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right. Just a little sleepy. That's all.
Me too, man. Everybody I talked to today has been sleepy in some ways.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm definitely feeling it.
Maybe that's the second part of the pandemic now. We're all just going to be sleepy all the time now.
Maybe. I know for me, I did not sleep enough hours, so it explains it for me. I only had about 4 hours of sleep.
That's actually it for me too. I don't know, but maybe that's the insidiousness of the pandemic is making us
Right.
sleep.
It's easy to stay up late nowadays.
Yeah, but I to be honest, I kind of was falling asleep by the end of the Bears game, and I to the point where I actually missed the play where Mitch fumbled in live time. I didn't see that. I nodded off right quick. Then I woke back up and I saw. I didn't see that or the touchdown that Peterson scored. I just woke up and I saw they went down. They both had 30 points and they were down. I was like, what the hell happened?
It was very predictable, I can tell you that, based on how things have been going lately.
Right. If it wasn't for their recent history, I'd have really been discombobulated at that moment. But it's like, oh, okay, this is how they're gonna lose. All right.
Yeah, this felt like a statement loss. We talk about statement wins sometimes. Like you would think
You
there's
gotta
going to be
use that
some
phrase.
repercussions from this one.
Yeah. That's a great phrase. A statement loss.
Because I mean, how much worse can you get than that? It was, you had the lead for once, you blow the lead. It just so many of the same issues rear its ugly head, and then clock management, coaching becomes a problem, and they've given away every type of game this year. So I don't know. I don't know if you're a McCaskey. I don't know what you're trying to look out for. Because if I was the owner of the Bears, I would be having a lot of problems just sleeping at night. Just thinking like, these are things that professional franchises that are at the top don't do a lot of the time.
Nope.
And you can't get quarterback right. You don't have the offensive line, and those all become problems at some point in this game. The defense, had another bad game, and why is the defense having bad games? Just a lot of weird things going on with the Bears right now, and it feels Trestman-ish at this point.
Yeah, that was the parallels are definitely there. I think from the end of 14, where there was just no type of there was no type of and anything lacking encouragement that was coming from the franchise, and you just knew that they had to make their moves at that point. They had to get rid of him. They had to get rid of. It was still Angelo at that point, right?
No, it was Phil Emery. They got rid of Jerry Angelo and kept Lovie Smith, and then Phil Emery fired Lovie Smith the following season.
Got right. So you had to get rid of Emery. You had to get rid of you had to get rid of Trestman. They had to be in the sad thing though is that they did that wrong, and they hired John Fox first, and then they hired this kid Pace. So the thing is, we can't even be sure that they're going to do this right because the people who are going to be doing the hiring are the same people who did the hiring 5 years ago, who did the hiring before that. And it's like, no.
It's really the devil you know versus the devil you don't. Like, do you want to continue on the Pace Nagy path? I mean, I guess you could, see, this is where it gets a little tricky, too, because Pace's deal runs up before Nagy's. His ends at the end of next season. I mean, he's had 6 years on the job. I don't know how you could possibly give him a contract extension if, they don't make the playoffs. Or I guess maybe you give him one last offseason if you really want to as the Bears. But to me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then,
especially when you're tasked again with finding a quarterback in the offseason. So how many chances are we going to give him to do that?
And then you got, of course, Nagy, too. If you don't think Ryan Pace deserves to be here, then you certainly don't think that Matt Nagy should be here. And then you're going to keep him for 2 seasons, or you're going to hamstring a GM to work with him. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of tough decisions to be made overall for George and the McCaskey family. But I think maybe the biggest thing is just the fact that if you continue down this path, like there's a chance the Bears could fall into the top 10. It's still a possibility, especially if they continue
yeah.
losing at this rate. That could be pretty attractive for a lot of GM candidates out there. And do you want Ryan Pace drafting in the top 10 again, or do you want to go with somebody else?
Right. Dedrian's on. He asked, "Do we think that the Bears can lose out?" I brought some mention of this before you came on, and you were particularly in the preview covers this week. You were particularly you're trying to establish the opinion, I should say, that the Bears actually could win out. Prior to this game, and it was that was a reasonable thought because of the weakness of the schedule overall.
Mm-hmm.
And we pick up some momentum against these weak teams. It's basically what they did early at the beginning of the season. They picked up momentum against weak teams, and they established themselves with a 5-1 record. But now we know, of course, that they can't win out. They can they can win out their last 4, but it's
Right.
It's less impact week to week for them winning out. So there's more impact than them losing out. Like you say, they could be a top 10, draft team, by losing out. And it's something that I went into this with the Mines like a couple weeks ago. Like, nobody tanks in the NFL. You don't do that. But you can't be bad to the point where you just can't win. And the Bears seem to be bad at this point right now where they just can't beat anybody. And, honestly, when we look at the rest of the schedule, can they lose out? Yeah, they certainly can, because, like I said at the beginning of this stream, they're finding new ways now to lose. And it doesn't matter who you put out in front of them. It's going to be Houston, Jacksonville, Minnesota. They got Minnesota again, yeah. So Minnesota's proving they can beat them. And Green Bay can beat them no matter what their focus is in the last week of the season. They could beat the Bears. They've been in games before in week 17, lame duck games, where the lame duck opponents still beat them. So it's like, it is
possible.
Yeah.
I think,
and
it's going to be really hard. I think it's going to be really hard for them to lose to the Jags, if we're being honest. Like, they can definitely lose.
Hey, you know who they put out today, the Jags, at quarterback?
Mike Glennon, of course. Yes. Yes. That's what I'm saying. I kind of hope they lose that game. Full circle on Ryan Pace right there. Like, total egg. You get beaten by the guy that you first invest. His first real quarterbacking decision, I guess, besides getting rid of Jay Cutler. But I'm not sure. For the Bears, I thought Detroit and Jacksonville were pretty hard to lose, and they lost one of those. So you could definitely lose that last game with the Jags. At the last game of the year with the Packers, I mean, if the Packers sew up their seed, there's a good chance that they'll put in their backups. I mean, that's going to be a hard game to lose, especially if that's well known. I mean,
It could be the Jordan Love game, Ryan.
Yeah, it could be. But you would think the pride of that locker room that we've heard so much about would be able to beat number 2s.
I don't know if there's any pride at this point.
Maybe not. But I guess I would go to the table in Vegas. I'd say they'd win one more. I don't think they'll lose out.
You're a good man. I'll wait until we get to that week and see how they're playing before I do that. But
I mean, they could beat Minnesota. I wouldn't bet on it, but they could. Like, Minnesota isn't untouchable. They lost to the Cowboys. They almost lost to the Jags. But you don't feel good at all about the Bears against any opponent. especially when you see Kirk Cousins there. He looks like, a terrific quarterback if he can play just fine, and then their defense can just do what basically every defense has done, and that's kept the Bears' offense under wraps.
Yeah, and that's next week.
They have Houston, and then Minnesota, then
Houston didn't.
Jacksonville, and then Green Bay.
Okay. And Houston, I mean Houston. The one thing they can do is they can throw the ball because they got the guy who should be throwing the ball
They've
for the
been
Bears.
they've been playing pretty good
Yeah,
lately. Like the last month and a half, like they've turned it on a little bit, and I'd be surprised if the Bears won that game. To be honest, I think even J.J. Watt and that defense, they're playing much better. And then, like you just mentioned, Deshaun Watson, his playmaking, his ability. This Bears defense is really reeling, and I think unless a jolt comes through, like you said, maybe there's no more pride left. But you would think the pride of that unit would come out, especially when the offense gives you 30. But who knows?
Brown. Let's talk about the defense and then the offense and how they played the past couple weeks. Like the defense, there's issues overall with the defense. I think some people are attributing it to being tired at a certain point, and the thing what I counter with that though is that they came out of a bye week and they were flat. They
Mm-hmm.
came, they were put in front of our blood rival in the Packers and they were flat.
National
Then,
TV, they usually like those games too.
yeah, national TV. They've had some good performances again. The last two openers they had two two of the no yeah 18 and 19 when they played up there. They hit the first MAC game and the game at home even last year. That was a good defensive performance. Again, the offense didn't provide anything, but they usually show up. They have showed up in the past couple of years, but they had nothing last week. This week it was just as bad or worse against Detroit's they got talent on the offense, of course, the Stafford
I
and they
thought he
got
played well too today.
yeah, yeah. And they got those
Sometimes he's
receivers.
flat. Sometimes.
Right. He had a couple of mistakes with like he's doing that sidearm stuff and Bilal got him on that play. But yeah, he was slinging like he usually does. But there was nothing there to be overly intimidated about or anything. And again, from out for week to week, you have to have that feeling of I don't see them buckling under this pressure, but you know that you're playing more and more for your playoff life each week. So it's like you think that these guys would raise up over that, under that pressure and buck back, but they just seem to have given up. What do you attribute that to? And going up, preluding to the offense has been better in the past 2 weeks. It hasn't been like it was in the weeks leading up to the bye where they were giving absolutely nothing. The offense has been giving something in the past 2 weeks. So if you're the defense and you see that this wherewithal from the offense, that should have been more encouraging as well. But they haven't played the way that you would want them to play.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things going on right now, and all of it is just not good for the Bears. Ultimately, end of the day, or Bears fans. I mean, I think human nature. There's probably some fracturing, some fraying going on
Yeah.
in that locker room. I would think most of the players, like you even hear it from Anthony Miller saying the scheme is like holding some guys back. The defense had to have a meeting with the head coach to clarify, his thoughts on them having a crappy performance. It just, it feels like everybody's on razor's edge over at 95 Hal's Drive or whatever the official address is, but
Yeah.
they, I think, are just kind of maybe a little bit overrated without Vic Fangio too. I wonder with Chuck Pagano,
Hmm.
You know, you don't see the adjustments kind of being made the same. The pass rush is just non-existent, and that goes back to kind of Ryan Pace. He invested in Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn, and I'm not trying to say that either is wrong, but neither is paying off right now when you need it the most. And those are your top two contracts on the entire roster. You know, you're paying a lot to Nick Foles, and he's not even out there, and you don't even want to put him out there. Mitch gives you a better chance to win, but I think the locker room probably at the time of the switch to Nick Foles felt that that was appropriate. And when you
Yeah.
kind of like are over a guy, you're kind of just over a guy. I don't think any Bears fans are saying, unless you are already a Mitch Trubisky, you know, apologist or loyalist, whatever you want to say. You know, I don't think anyone came into neutral or thinking Mitch was bad after these two games, thinking, oh, you know what? I kind of like Mitch. You know, Mitch is showing me something.
Yeah.
Like, you just know what you're getting right now. And so if you go along that line of thinking, again, going back to ownership, what does this sound like? This is like Jerry Angelo, Lovey Smith, you know, Phil Emery, Mark Trestman. There just feels like a lot of rot everywhere and just a lot of issues all across the board. So, is keeping these people on to try to keep solving a problem that they cannot solve to this point better than going after somebody else who, unfortunately, you're going to be probably incapable of hiring?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really football hell. You know, I think a lot of people
Yeah.
in the
Rock in a
NBA.
hard place.
Right. Yeah. In the NBA, you kind of have the idea of basketball hell, where you're good enough to make the playoffs, but you're not good enough to, or you're in that middle space where you could make the playoffs, or you're going to be low in the lottery, and you're not really in a position to improve yourself from year to year drastically.
Like
And
when Dwayne Wade gets picked right before you and you get Kirk Heinrich.
yeah, so yeah, something like that. Yeah. But that could be the place where the Bears are right now. The Bears they make they may need they may need Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence,
Yeah.
or even a Zach Wilson, but they may just be short. But they may be just short of getting those guys, and they have to
Well,
invest in
Kyle,
Mac Jones or something. But shout out to our Tide fans. We know a couple in particular, but
well, I think the main thing, like with step one, with what you're saying, is the light at the end of the tunnel right now is losing out. Like that's
yeah,
the light at the end of the tunnel. Get into that top 10. Because at least if you're going to move around, you have a shot. If you're outside the top 10, it's going to be extremely difficult to go up and get one of those guys you mentioned. The other silver lining that you can put there is if you get to that top 10, that's where all the offensive tackles are going to go too. So you're
mm,
talking tackles, quarterbacks. You're going to have a chance probably to get one of those guys if you get into that top 10. So
yeah,
that gives you a chance to really make progress in the ultimate areas of need on your football team. And then the other thing is, again, if you're in that top 10, you know, how many candidates out there might express interest for the job? And maybe your job goes up a level when you're talking
yeah,
about GM because you've got a defense that's largely under contract control. I mean, look at your secondary. You feel really good about Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson, and even Kyle Fuller moving forward because Kyle Fuller's only 28 and everybody else is below 28. You still have Khalil Mack. You still have some of these guys. If you come in as the new GM and can figure out offense, the great, like, this is becoming the new, like, in that movie Goodwill Hunting, where they put the equation in the beginning, and if you can figure it out, you're a
right.
genius.
You need
Like,
to,
if you can
yeah,
figure out offense in Chicago, you've got a defense that, if it might not be super elite anymore, but it, again, you nail the quarterback, you put an offensive line in front of them, that defense I think that they can be rejuvenated again, and certainly they're talented enough to be good enough to get you far into the playoffs.
Yeah. Two things right quick. You talk about tackles, and I think that's something that fans should look at too. Quarterbacks, of course, are always going to get attention, but look at tackles too. If you want to look at the upcoming draft, the Bears could go either way. There's a kid at Northwestern who's getting a lot of attention, Slater, and I've seen him go to the Bears in a mock draft or two already. So the good thing about getting a left, and there's been quite a few teams that have built offenses around left tackles.
That's the norm usually.
Yeah. And left tackle, they block your quarterback, and that's just as good as you can make a bad quarterback a little better at least,
right?
or a mediocre quarterback at least have him be a starter level if you have a franchise guy blocking him. So that's definitely the building block, and again it goes against the grain of what they've done largely in the Pace era, which I said that they built the offensive line on budget. That's not the way to go. You look at the teams who are winning in this league, they're running the ball and mostly they're running the ball behind great offensive lines, and that's across the board. But you're not going to have a great offensive line if you don't have a great left tackle.
And how about how great those budgeting works out for you? You can't even cut either guy because it cripples your salary cap moving forward into next year. Right.
Yeah, I say it's budgeting.
There's always a kicker at the end with the Bears right now. Nope, it's worse. Here it is, kicker.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a misnomer when I say budget because the guys themselves are not cheap.
You're right, though.
They're cheap. They're just cheap quality wise. It's like trying to get that one decent pair of Nikes at Marshalls.
Yeah,
it's like these are $80. They're normally $80, but they're marked down to $40 here. Maybe I should try to help.
I keep picturing the Walmart $5 DVD bin, just a whole heap of those guys. I got 5 right here.
I used to. Starship Troopers for $5.
Right.
There we go.
There you go. Right tackle. Perfect.
All right. But the other point I was gonna make right quick is I've got on the run now. But God, what was I about to say?
This is what the Bears do. They melt your mind, and when you're sleepy already, you're just like, oh my God. I gotta deal with this team right now.
Yeah. I don't know how to sleep. But yeah, the tackles could be just as important as the quarterbacks, and it's a good way to help to build your offense. But we do know, and the quarterbacks. I mean, you might, like I say, the spotlight guys are going to be like Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. We pretty much know where they're going to go, especially Lawrence. Nobody's out jetting the Jets this year, so the Jets are going to be the number one team, and they're going to get Lawrence whether he expresses his approval to go there or not. So you take him off the table. You still have a couple other guys, maybe even the Trey Lance, who may get in the top 10. I know that's you and Ken's, that's y'all boy. But even if you don't get one of those guys, there is maybe like 7 or 8 quarterbacks who are going to get drafted in the first 2 rounds. So the Bears could look in the second round. If you pick up a second round quarterback and a first round, a top 15, a top 10 left tackle, that's a good first 2 days of the draft. Right there.
I mean, you're immediately feeling much better about their direction because now the plan is Nick Foles and Charles Leno and Bobby Massey. That's the plan right now for 2021, everybody. Something has to happen. So right now, we're kind of just finishing up the season, hoping that at least the right people are put in place, whether that is Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. We hope that ownership is at least reviewing that and making a logical decision, however that is. Probably isn't going to happen. It's probably going to be motivated by different factors that fans don't want to hear about, and ultimately that might be why they continue on. But regardless of all that, it's then about, can they identify the talent? And if we can get an offensive tackle in here that we know, especially being a top 10 pick, that they're going to play right away, okay, that's progress. They draft a quarterback in the second round. Well, at least we know somebody is battling with Nick Foles that is of value, not just a guy off the street or something like that. Like how this quarterback competition basically was.
Right. Right. I guess I think what I was going to go into is the appeal, like going off what you said, the appeal of having a top pick with, packaged along with everything positive that the Bears have that has been established. So, be it on the defensive side, you still got, you know, even on the offensive side, you got guys like Mooney and Cohen's gonna be back next year. Montgomery, they're under contract and under control. I think Montgomery, especially after the past couple of weeks, has made himself look more like a piece for the future. You just need to again give him a line that protects him and allows him to find space. But he's shown more in a couple of weeks how he can produce. But to that degree, when you look at people who may, if the Bears are serious about, cleaning house and getting new people in, new thinkers at coaching and GM or one of the two, I've heard some argument about, doing what they never do, which is fire mid-season. There's gonna if but the argument for that would be there's gonna be a lot of competition, quite a bit of competition for the top coaches and the top GMs going into this off season. Detroit's gonna have a spot open. It's gonna be there may be against several teams that have coaching openings this offseason. What do you think about the idea that the Bears should get a jump on the process, and can they get a jump on the process while at the same time keeping Nagy and Pace throughout the rest of the season? Do you think that they would have to get rid of those guys this week or sometime soon in order to have? Because I keep thinking about, again, 15, that process where you ended up with a coach who didn't work, and you ended up with a short-term coach, and you ended up with a GM who only lasted one more coach beyond that short-term coach, Fox. I would hate for the Bears to be in that position again where they wind up getting two guys who didn't fit, and they wind up getting a guy who couldn't even hire that next coach because they didn't, like I said, the process just didn't work.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but there's a lot of people, I think, within the NFL. I don't think that there's a shortage of candidates, so I don't personally think that they have to fire him anytime soon. And I wouldn't hold my breath because you pointed out I would be shocked if the McCaskies. And this might be part of why Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy are coming back potentially, because there is no way, I guarantee it, there's no way Bears ownership thought they were going to fire one or both guys. I think that they had every intention of bringing him back. Something disastrous would have to happen, and we are knocking on disaster's door right now because the Bears are looking terrible. That being said, maybe ownership will clean house now, but we know how poorly they act and how not efficiently they will jump on this. So if they already haven't been planning to let go of Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, I mean, they're already going to be way behind. Like the Lions fired Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia, but they were told before the season that your job's on notice. The Lions were just getting a jump. They knew what they were going to do. They were going to fire them unless they made the playoffs and looked like one of the best teams in the NFC. That was the only shot that they had. For the Bears, they were on a level that we're still building and growing. We expect to make the playoffs, but short of a disaster, we're bringing back the band again. And now, I don't know. It's a good question, but I think ultimately there's candidates all over the place. There's 32 teams with a lot of smart people. If you can find a way to find the good candidates, whether that's with a consultant, because I know with the Bears Rolodex they won't be able to, but with a consultant like you did Ernie Accorsi, hopefully you get a consultant that's maybe a little bit more efficient and effective, but you find somebody that can get you those candidates and you try to make the best decision because there's really no other avenue to go down if you're the Bears, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah. I I know the fans are gonna hate this, but keep yourself open to the possibility. I don't know how it's gonna affect your fandom, but like Ryan said, they very well both could be back, and I would think at least one of them are gonna be back, and that's
it's hard to think both of them are gone.
Yeah.
Maybe if they lose out, maybe. 6-10 looks pretty bad. So that would just be one more win. Maybe then, but it's like if they start flirting with 8-8, 7-9.
Oh yeah.
It's hard. It's hard for yes, one of them, but both, I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see next week. There'll be another challenge. The challenge again, I think, is now to see how they will lose, and not how can they pull out a win.
How do they respond? Is this defense quitting? Are they full on quit?
Are they? Yeah. Are they a 1-2-3 Cancun? Is that what they're on? Is that what the defense is on? I expect the offense to continue to.
Man, they're doing 1-2-3 Cancun during a pandemic.
You can't even go to Cancun.
Right.
Yeah,
why are they trying to get to the off season so bad?
Yeah, right. I don't understand it either, but I think that is again an indictment on Nagy, man. If he can't, for so long we've given him credit about being, a guy who can maintain some sort of chemistry with his club, but it seems like that's wearing off. And if he can't get that defense to show any more life this season, I think that's going to be a distinct indictment on him. So, regardless of what the offense does the rest of the year, and like I said, I'm encouraged about the offense right now. At least the run, if they just keep again today, they gave up on the run too early.
He doesn't wanna. We can't keep pounding the table for run. He doesn't wanna.
But
even with Bill Lazor as the offensive coordinator, Matt Nagy is telling him, throw the ball. Throw it. I want the ball in the air. That's how Matt Nagy rolls.
Yeah, but all it took though was the one more drop back than you needed, and they gave up the game.
Yeah. I agree, but he doesn't like it. You got to ask him, Kyle. He doesn't like it. I don't like it, says Matt Nagy. I got to tell you, if your head coach is area of expertise is the problem on your football team, that guy's days are numbered. Period.
Yeah. And that's why if you would bet, would you? Because for me, I think drafting Mitch is just the biggest offense that either one of them have against them.
How about trading up and drafting him?
Yeah, trading up and drafting them, certainly. But
I was talking about this earlier today, just a side thing. Once Garrett is picked, like you had to trade up for Mitch, and you couldn't just like top two on their board was Mahomes and Trubisky. You couldn't just sit at 3 and just take your guy. You
Yeah,
had to trade up.
I mean, but at least have better intel. It's like you should know that. Okay, we could sit here and get our guy and get. But if you have two guys,
They loved
even if
Mahomes. They said it, and all this stuff that they loved him. It was
yeah,
between Mitch and Mahomes. They had no interest in Watson.
yeah,
So Garrett's off the board. There's only one team ahead of you.
only one. Yeah.
You're
Well,
not okay with getting one or the other. We have to trade up. Unbelievable.
I think they thought it was like Uno or something. And that San Francisco could have put a drop 2 or something on. And it will take both quarterbacks.
Right. We get 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah. Draw 2.
Maybe somebody will trade up with us and take it.
Like, I mean, like I said, for me, that 17 draft is enough to fire Pace at any given time. But he's probably got the better security than Nagy right now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the other problem is, we know the McCaskies are foolish sometimes in their ownership and how they handle things. It's not unfamiliar in Chicago. We complain about it all the time with Reinsdorf and his loyalties. The McCaskies value loyalty, and they really like Ryan Pace, and he's a part of the family. Look at Ted Phillips. He's been a part of the family. He's never been let go as president and CEO. They understand, and I think it's probably true that he doesn't handle any football operations, and Ryan Pace runs that department. But I don't know. I'm with you. I think the Bears ownership, I think they like Ryan Pace too much to let him go. I think they'll say you've got one more year, so you get one last chance. And they got to keep Nagy. I don't know how you give Ryan Pace a third coach. I don't know how you give him a third coach.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
And when you look at the contract situation, like you said, he's got one more year after this one on the books. Pace does. So you have 2 years for Nagy. So again, when we talk about bringing them both back, you're looking essentially at next year being a situation that the Lions essentially put Quinn and Patricia in this year, which is win or go home. And if they don't win next year, so again, like we say, be realistic. Bears fans got to keep yourself open to this. If you don't want to put money into the team next year, if they're welcoming fans back and you don't want to go to Soldier Field, or if you don't want to watch them on TV, that's your prerogative. But be aware that both of these guys, especially in this pandemic season, where they've lost, they're going to lose money because they didn't welcome fans into the Soldier Field this year. That they're not going to be trying to hire new people when they already got 2 guys on the books, and this is going to be it's a distinct possibility that they get at least 2021 to make good on what they've done already, and
But throw in the caveat too. They might fire both of them. It's not impossible.
Sure. So you got to root for 5 and 11, folks. You
6 and 10 max.
Yeah,
6
you got to root for
max.
Yeah, I'm through with that, man. We'll on to Houston. Or are they coming here?
I'm not sure 100%. My tired brain can't focus in on it. I want to say Houston, but I have no idea.
Either way, it's on to Houston mentally. And before we wrap up, anything that look around the league, anything that's standing out to you this week, the Browns were big talk while the Bears were playing because they were just smashing the Titans. It wound up being a closer game. I'm 41-35, but the Browns were really up big in that game. But they end up winning. They're 9-3, they're looking like a sure playoff team now. I don't know. Was anything else that stand out?
Mine's the Giants. You know,
The
what's going
Giants?
on with Seattle? What the heck is going on with Seattle?
Yeah, 17-12. Giants beat Seattle. Now, what is that about?
Giants, though, big victory. Helps the Bears drop in the standings. They got 5 wins themselves.
Giants gonna take that division.
Hey, that's fine with me. That pushed them way out of there.
Man, trusted Daniel Jones. And they should have beat the Bears. They could be so they could shoot. They could really have been a playoff team.
Man, it's going to be hard being a top 10 team when you start out 5-1. That's doing something.
That's amazing, man. That's I mean, has that ever happened in the NFL? You got to look at that, man. To start
It
off,
doesn't seem
with
real.
Yeah,
5-1, and then you end in the top 10. And look, it's going to be hard for them to still get in the top 10, but they can get between 8 and 10. That's still a possibility.
Let me look at the standings right quick.
Because you've got like the Jets, I think a 2-win team, and then you got like 4 3-win teams.
Yeah,
something
Jets
like
of
that.
course. Jets of course are the worst.
Some 4-win teams, but you got then the big mix of 4 and 5-win teams.
You got the AFC. You got the Jets. The Broncos are 4-7. The Charge, which means so the Broncos are 4-7. So the Bears could end up worse than the Broncos potentially, but the Broncos are worse than them now. The Chargers are 3-9. They should probably stay ahead of the Bears. Bengals are 2-9. They should.
Jaguars, all the 3-win teams are probably going to keep ahead of the Bears.
Jaguars are 1-11. Texans are 4-8. So we talk about draft position in next week's game is going to be meaningful for the Bears and the Texans both. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 worst teams in the AFC. In the NFC, you got you got the NFC East. Just the whole NFC East, except for the Giants. The Washington, the Eagles, and Cowboys are all 4. Washington is 4-7. Eagles and Cowboys are 3-8. Niners are 5-6. Lions 5-7 with the Bears, and the Falcons and Panthers are 4-8. So, the Bears are looking at that. They're in that 15 range right now, but it's still a chance.
They got a lot of tie breaks over those teams, though.
Yeah, because they could beat. Those are the teams they were able to beat. The Rosen teams. So we got to keep your eyes on those standings, folks, and see. We don't want. That's why the Jets game was so satisfying, even though they're they're so far ahead of the Bears, but the Jets at least put a stamp on their incompetency, and then maybe they flat. Do you think they flat out that Greg Williams did a flat out tank move there with the blitz at the end? That seems got a lot of tension today.
I don't know. Greg Williams does that stuff.
He does. He does. He's a
that's
mediator.
Not out of character.
Who loves
the
blitz.
Yeah. He's a
blitzer. He might just been acting naturally. That's true.
When in doubt, blitz. So maybe he was in doubt.
Yeah, that's true. Let me see right quick what else. I was napping again through the Patriots show some heart today. 45-0. That's a rare score in the league nowadays. 45-0.
Yeah, not surprised though in a way because Bill Belichick owns rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, even Herbert
destroys them.
Yeah, but that's looking to be another spot where they're going to be at least a head coaching opening with the Chargers. Unfortunately,
yeah, it'll be pretty attractive too with Herbert.
Yeah. You got your young quarterback there, and you got LA, nice expensive stadium and everything out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cardinals fell back. Rams are now leading the NFC West. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Cliffy's not long for that job.
Cliffy. I mean, that's. He can't be the guy that's going to take that team to the promised land. He was such a reach in the beginning. Like, he can't be the guy. Like, you can't win in the freaking Big 12 South, but you're gonna win the AFC West. Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not thinking too highly of Kingsbury. We'll see. Maybe he can get them there still. They're in the playoffs right now, I think, currently.
Yeah. Packers won, of course. They're going to run away with the North. And Chiefs are only 3 up on the Broncos right now. We talk about the Broncos being worse than the Bears. I don't know. I guess, the Chiefs probably playing the Broncos is probably like playing the Generals right now. The Globetrotters playing the Generals, but I don't know. Do you think that they're just cruising right now? KC is.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're feeling good about themselves. I don't think they're worried about anybody.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, again, even a so-called rivalry game like the Broncos, it's like that game means the world to the Broncos, but for them, it's like whatever.
Yeah, I think they're not worried one bit. I think they're ready for the playoffs.
You think Fangio lasts through the offseason in Denver?
I don't know. I mean, do you blame him for Drew Lock? That's John Elway, so I don't know.
It seems like there's some institutional things though there where, and Elway should get a lot of the blame definitely, but as a coach though they were running through like little mist sprays to try to keep the COVID off them. So I don't know how much of the responsibility falls on the coach for that, but I could see Fangio be like, "Hey, just run through the mist, you'll be all right."
It's tough because it's like how many teams want to just do brand new staffs with all the COVID? Like, how much salary are you willing to dump when you made nothing? Yeah. And I mean, the Broncos made, I think, a little bit. I think Colorado let some people in. I'm not sure on that though. So I don't know. I think if your team is headed in a bad direction, you obviously have to move on. But if you feel like there's still some positives, maybe you give people chances while it's a pandemic.
Yeah, we got to keep that in mind too. That's going to be affecting teams in all sports and what their decision making over the next year or two. Because like I said, the money was lost, and how do you deal with that going forward? It's going to be important.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't. Like I was talking to Weekend Gabe about this on Twitter earlier. Like he's like, I've seen enough from Nagy. Get him out of here. The Bears got money. I was like, that's not how you run an NFL team, though, man. Just because you got money don't mean that you spend it at every turn. And you're not gonna spend it on coaches that aren't working for you technically. So, we've had, like we said, you just be aware that that we may not be seeing. We're in that, like I said, we're towards the end, but we may not be we're in the final descent of the Pace Nagy era, but we're not necessarily.
I can't hear this for the third time over here because I need to know the positivity that they're going to be fired. So we got to keep that positivity going, not the positivity that they might come back. We got to end that right then.
Well, I'm just being realistic.
I think we need meatball fan time now. We need meatball allowed in here. This is not a time to be illogical and realistic as a Bears fan. We should be with pitchforks in front of Soldier Field.
Well, that's what it took for the Bulls.
Where's the torches?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it took for the Bulls. The Bulls had to overrun the All-Star weekend. The Bulls fans had to put up the billboards, fire guard packs, and everything. Hey,
Yeah, where's my billboards?
let's do it, man. Fire.
Where's the drones?
We don't. We need a catchy name for Nagy and Pace, though. We got to combine them.
Nah.
Nag Ace.
How about fired? How about that
Yeah.
one? Can we get that one?
Sure.
Let's combine them for fired. That'll be the new nickname.
Well, we got the Fire Everybody logo. So there's the Fire Everybody logo.
Oh,
I put it on the video.
We need.
I put it on your video.
How
I put
about,
it on the video again.
how about The Apprentice? We get Trump back on there. You're fired.
Well,
He needs a job.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do business with him necessarily, but yeah, we could bite his steez though. Yeah, we could take that from him. But yeah, fire everybody. That's the logo. That's the hashtag.
That's where I'm at. At least I could be wrong.
Yeah, if one more performance like this, man. Any more performances like this is like today, and you know that's all you got to say, man. That's what today provided us, man. That clarity of thinking.
Yeah, I'm over it.
Yeah, but thanks, man. Glad to talk to you again. I had to have somebody
circumstance.
Yeah, I had to have somebody talk with me through this one because I wouldn't have lasted half as long talking about this. But
I don't even know how I talked about it. Like I just want to throw up now.
Yeah, it's sad, man. It's sad. Well, I don't know, man. Let everybody know what's going on with you, man. We had a big announcement this week on the show.
Yeah, I'm moving out to Arizona.
Oh man, everybody moving, man. You know the COVID is out there too, man.
Well, we'll find out. I'll be firsthand to tell you.
Okay, you be our Arizona COVID correspondent. Man.
Yeah, Hey, we gotta keep an eye on Kyler Murray, right? The Cardinals used to be the Chicago Cardinals. We got to keep an eye on them.
Right. If they
get
rid
of this Bears business.
If they get rid of Cliffy, that is a reasonable team to transfer fandom to because they used to be Chicago.
Right. Right. Yeah. We might as well keep it loyal, right, to the Cardinals. Yeah. Who doesn't like Jake the Snake? Come on.
Oh yeah, that was a moment there with Jake the Snake. He was the one who broke them through. They ain't going to playoffs for like 30 years before him, man.
I think people forgot about them until Jake the Snake.
Yeah. Except for Jerry Maguire. They had to make up.
Oh,
they had to make up
love that movie.
Yeah. They had to make Cuba Gooding look like an athlete for anybody.
The Cardinals got Cuba Gooding an Oscar.
Right. Anything could happen, man. Anything could happen. Even the Bears being respectable once again. So
we'll see, right?
Yeah.
There's always next year. They're like the new Cubs, the lovable losers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when are you moving out to? When you moving out there, so?
Hopefully this week, with everything going as scheduled. It would be Wednesday.
Well, you still owe me the rest of this season, sir. So
yes, don't worry. We'll still make it work.
Yeah.
It'll be easy. We can talk about the same problems every week like we've been doing. Right, we can talk about the same issues every week like we've been doing.
Next week, I'm just going to stitch together our segments from the rest of the year and just
Can we put some inserts of dates and we just won't mention that? It'll be fresh. It'll be fresh for every post game.
Yeah, right. We just saying the same stuff over and over, but.
Oh, the offense was bad. Get out of here. Oh, quarterback is a problem. Get out of here. Coaching? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, good luck with your moves, sir.
Appreciate it.
If you need some help, because you helped me with my last move, so if you need some help, I'm willing to help you.
I'm actually going easy move. Easy move. I'm not even taking a U-Haul. I'm going to get all the stuff down there. I'm just filling my car, and I'm going. Me and the road, baby.
All right, that's good. That's good, man. That's a good way to go. Keep your mind off of this team for the rest of the week. So
Yeah, I'll try
good
to
luck
catch
with
some
that,
sports
sir.
radio across the country because we can't listen in Chicago. By
Yeah, you
Friday,
can
I'm going to
listen.
be throwing up like crazy if I listen to Chicago.
Well, you can listen to. You could probably get some Kansas City talk on the way out there. Maybe
Yeah.
some Texas.
I should
You know,
get
you
some
get to the
Colorado.
Panhandle.
I should get some
Yeah,
Denver.
Colorado. Yeah. You get some. Hear some other teams bitch.
Some
Some other
Vegas.
areas bitch
Some
about their
Vegas
team.
Raiders, maybe.
Oh man, yeah, that'll be interesting. Yeah, that should be fun, man. But yeah, good luck, man, with that, and wish you the best, and hope you get out there safely. And like I said, he's not going anywhere, so you guys will get to hear from him more, uh, at least through the rest of this season. That we hopefully it'll end mercifully and not
And a
with too much
loss.
embarrassment. Yeah, just we'll take the losses now. We'll take the losses. We just don't want to be too embarrassing, man. It's like,
well, no national games, so embarrass away.
that's
We're hidden in noon hour with
right.
the
12 to 3.
F list broadcaster because we're not even good for
Yeah.
A, B, C, D, or E.
Definitely. Let's be done at 3:00. No more of this waiting until 7 bullshit.
Yep.
And just be done at 3:00.
Give me my Kevin Kugler and my Chris Spielman, and let me just enjoy it.
Yeah. I didn't know who the hell those announcers were.
Right, because I told my brother because I went over to his place. He's like, "Who are these people?" This is Squad F. This is way on the low end of the roster of Fox.
It's so nondescript. Like I was giving D crap for liking Akeem Talib, but
oh boy,
but it's I could see what he was saying after today because it's like those were the most undescript white bread announcers. like you really don't want to listen to that. Like I'd rather have a guy giving me the African American vernacular English all day and just talking about how many concussions he's had and how many asses he's whipped, chains he's snatched on the field, than just that plain Jane stuff we was hearing today, man. But,
I'm with you.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it though for now, man. You can see this if you want to see the whole show, keep on visiting War on Facebook here. We'll also put this up on YouTube. And coming up this week, more Ryan, 3 and Out, and 4th and Goals coming up. And That Davis show coming up again this week. So,
yes.
Ryan's still putting in work while he's making that move. So, give him his props for that. And like I said, man, good luck on the move. Be safe out there, man. And
appreciate it.
That's to you.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, y'all. That's it for now. Sunday night special rounding out. This is a much better show than
get some sleep, everybody.
Yes, get your sleep.
Sleepy here.
Get your sleep, man. Yes, do what you got to do. Take whatever pills you got to take.
Melatonin. Be safe.
Yes, put some melatonin on, man. Drink you a little something. Get you a nice little nightcap, and stop thinking about
hot cocoa, even if you're trying to go virgin from the liquor.
Right. I'm not doing that though. I'm gonna put something in my cocoa. But,
hey, good for you.
Yeah,
good for you, brother.
Yeah, that's it, y'all. We gone. Have a good week, y'all.